Switzerland, the country with no inflation. Relating to the current situation of the world economy, it becomes unbelievable to believe that there is a country in the same world which is drowning in multiple layers of inflation that is unaware of inflation for 10 years. Would you believe this? This is the fact: Switzerland is a country that has never witnessed an inflation crisis for 10 years. But how? To know the reason behind this crazy fact about Switzerland, let's get straight into the video. While the rest of Europe is dealing with rising prices, inflation in Switzerland is so low that some key costs are actually falling. Healthcare costs, which account for a large portion of Swiss household budgets, fell 0.5% year-on-year in February. When overall inflation was 2.2%, this was the highest inflation rate since 2008. But it is still a fraction of the levels experienced by other industrialized countries. Switzerland's moderate price pressures are caused by a variety of aspects, including consumer demand for better deals, an energy mix that leaves the country less vulnerable to rising oil and gas costs, wage restrictions, and some safeguards against import price inflation from the powerful ruble. Definitely, the fact that the cost of living in Switzerland is already so high contributes to the low inflation rate. One of the characteristics of Switzerland is that we have high prices in almost everything when compared to our European neighbors, said Nanette Heckler-Feidherber, Global Head of Economics and Research at Credit Suisse. Consumers in Switzerland have discovered some alternative solutions. The cottage industry of delivery address firms has sprung up an hour's drive from Zurich, just across the border into Germany, charging Swiss customers a small fee to hold goods they order at bargain German prices and later collect. The rapid distribution of commerce in Constance demonstrates Swiss households' determination to cut living costs wherever possible. Nonetheless, Eurostat data shows that the price level for household consumption expenditure in Switzerland in 2020 was 60% higher than the Eurozone average. As a result, consumer groups fed up with Switzerland being a high-price island lobbied for political action, resulting in 2 legislative charges beginning this year to give households a better deal. The first strengthened Switzerland's cartel law in order to prevent businesses from raising their prices for the Swiss market. The second measure prohibited so-called geo-blocking, which is used by retail outlets to avoid online shoppers from purchasing cheaper products or services from foreign sites by redirecting them to Swiss websites. For example, Priska Birer-Heimel, a center-left social democratic lawmaker who co-led a fair price initiative demanding reform, has already seen an impact. Spinner of money. Swiss market characteristics, as well as the weighting of certain key items in the Consumer Price Index, CPI, help to explain why inflation in Switzerland is so low. According to OECD data, healthcare, which is provided by private firms, accounts for 17% of the CPI index, compared to 7% in the US and 5% in Germany. The government has pushed health insurance companies to lower their premiums. According to the Federal Energy Office, hydropower accounts for approximately 57% of the country's energy production, leaving the Swiss far less exposed to spiraling oil and gas prices than others. According to OECD data, the resulting efficiencies mean that energy accounts for only 5% of the Swiss CPI basket, compared to 7% in the US and 10% in Germany, where consumers are far more exposed to rising fossil fuel prices. There is less pressure for wage increases because wages are already higher than in nearly all over European countries. The strong franc is also beneficial. As a safe haven, the franc briefly surpassed parity with the euro this month, reaching a 7-year high. The purchasing power of the currency protects Switzerland from higher import costs and feeds into the stable domestic price environment, giving exporters an advantage over foreign competitors facing higher inflation. According to Jean-Philippe Kohl, Vice Director and Head of Economic Policy at the Swissman Electrical and Mechanical Engineering Industry Group, half of the sector's exports go to the Eurozone, where inflation is close to 6%. By knowing all these facts, you must be wishing that your country would slowly start to imitate the Swiss model. Well, that would be good for our countries too.